I have a problem. I own hundreds of games, maybe even more, and I'm not finishing anything. I'm drowning in a sea of choice, and honestly, it's kind of starting to ruin this hobby. So I'm doing something pretty drastic. I am scrapping all of my backlog and going back to zero, all because I just cannot nail down what game to play. And I want some help from you guys at home to figure out what it is I'm going to play. I have a crazy amount of choices and a whole lot of thoughts in my head. So let's dive in and talk about it. So this game graveyard you're looking at, this is years of Steam sales, cheap vintage pickups, games that I've had my eye on in CEX that I just had to pick up one day. And now I'm in the situation where all I have is a bunch of I'll get to it promises. Oh, I'll play that one next. And yet here we are with nothing to show for it. And for years, I suspect this is something that has been a source of annoyance, confusion, even sadness for some of you people at home, where you've almost got like backlog overload, where you just cannot nail down what to play, but you just can't help but buy games when you see something for a good price on Vinted, or you see a really, really interesting like YouTube perspective of a game. You see it, you want it, and then what? Does it just go on the shelf and never get played forever? That is me. That is me to a T. This is a hobby that's supposed to be fun. That's supposed to be like an escape from the stressors of real life. But little things like this can somewhat suck the joy out and make it just a little bit less fun. Like my method for playing games, right, was a little bit chaotic. Like I would find that I would stand there in front of the shelves or be scrolling through Steam, looking at 3, 4, 5 games at a time for like 20, 30 minutes at a time, not know what to play, and then just give up and start watching YouTube videos about people playing those games, or watching Twitch streams of people playing those games, or breakdowns of the next latest game that's going to come out, and then not actually play anything myself. And I really do miss just jumping in and playing something. Like a good example was I was dangerously close to finishing Final Fantasy 1 in the PS4 collection, right? And for whatever reason, that was months ago. I have still yet to go back and play that. Well, today, that is where this changes. So we're going to have a little chat about the different ways that I think I can take this, but I want some input from all you people at home. Like, it isn't just necessarily about having too many games. Like, I think psychologists would call this something like the paradox of choice. You know, the more options we have, you get this weird converse effect that it's like harder to choose. You become less satisfied with what you pick because you always have that kind of thought in your head of the grass is always greener on the other side. And it isn't often the case. Like, you could quite easily just go grab something from the shelf and play it for 30 minutes for an hour, or jump into like your Xbox store or your Steam store, find something and just play it and just have fun. But for whatever reason, we just get stuck in a loop of not knowing what to do and what to play next. Like, I really admire people who can just jump in and just play something quickly and then just put it to one side. I feel like unless I seriously dislike a game, I need to play it to completion, which is a problem. But that is all part of the things that we're going to try and address here. So, you know, I'm kind of done, right? I'm tired of the guilt. I'm tired of the indecision. I'm tired of this sort of graveyard of half-finished games. I've hit this big metaphorical, reset button. We'll call it something like that. My now playing list, this sprawling, anxiety-inducing mess, is now empty. It is blank. It is a clean slate. And the new rule that I'm going to go for is one game at a time. No distractions. No, I'll just try this out for 5 minutes. You know, I start a game, I am either going to find out if I dislike this game, in which case I'm not going to push myself to play it. I'm just going to naturally let it go back on the shelf. We'll try it again another day, or maybe we'll recycle it for something better, or we will finish it until we hit the credits roll. I'm not saying we have to hit a 100% completion here. That would be ludicrous. But we are going to focus on one thing at a time so that we can actually enjoy the art and the action or the puzzles or whatever that genre of game might be, and enjoy what's been created for us, and hopefully kind of put that tunnel vision into play, and it will mean that this is a lot more fun for everyone, really, right? The whole idea is about sort of little more realistic goals, you know, like to sort of get through the backlog, make it feel less daunting, and I think this is the way to do it. So the way I see it now, I have a few different pathways to take this, and I'm going to talk through what I'm thinking about each one, and then we'll get to where you guys come in at home. And if you like this kind of thing, you know, press this like button, press the subscribe button. It helps the channel an awful lot. It helps us grow, and it means that you're telling YouTube that you've at least not hated this video. Okay, so we're going to go back to the thing I briefly mentioned earlier where I was quite close to completing Final Fantasy 1. Now, I have always been intrigued by the Final Fantasy series. I remember playing, I think it was Final Fantasy 13 on the Xbox 360 a long time ago, and I mean, I was like 14 or something like that, right? It was a long time ago. I'd never played a Final Fantasy up until that point, which is a bit mad to think about, considering that I feel like I've been playing games my entire life, right? But I didn't actually like it, and apparently that's not that surprising based on some of the feedback that you see online. Some people think that it is quite divisive. What the issue for me actually was, it used to give me headaches, right? Which is absolutely bizarre. It might have just been my crappy television at the time, right? So I never actually went and gave the series a try, but we played a little bit of Final Fantasy 1 on stream a long time ago, because we stream when we can, and I actually loved it. Like, I knew that it was a remaster, right? It was bringing this thing back from like the late 80s, early 90s, from like the Famicom into the modern day, but it was really good, and it then got me to thinking, right, well, maybe this is a series I would enjoy. JRPGs are something that I don't have a crazy amount of familiarity with, but I enjoyed what I'd played, I enjoyed what I got involved in. So I was thinking that maybe I can try and go quickly tick off FF1 and then go and choose a classic, because we're now at the situation with some recent pickups that we got where we managed to get a vintage order of both Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy Anthology, that I'm now in the situation where I only need to own Final Fantasy Origins, which is the release of 1 and 2 in PAL territories, and I then own all of the mainline games, I think. I don't think I'm missing any of the mainline ones, so I'm kind of spoiled for choice. Now, I know that I've been speaking to people on Discord and getting some opinions, and I've heard that anything on the PS1, 6, 7, 8 or 9 is what a lot of people recommend is meant to be a lot of fun to play. Now, I have heard that everyone absolutely adores Final Fantasy 7. It is that game. Like, if a game could be him, it is him. It is meant to be a classic. So in a way, I don't know if I want to play that one first, knowing that it might be difficult for any of the other games to match it. But it kind of intrigues me knowing that it is meant to be this absolute masterpiece. I would eventually play the remakes and what have you at a later date. Maybe that is something to consider though, is do you go down the Final Fantasy 7 route and then you immediately jump into was it Remake and Rebirth, the two that came out for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and just sort of bang them out one after the other, and you're ticking off a few games. Now obviously the PS1 versions of these games aren't huge, they're not like 100-hour games, but when you get into the PS4 and PS5 I think they are a bit bigger, so maybe I'd have to consider that that's another set of longer games after I've just tried to finish all achievement run of Fallout 4, which does take a little bit of time, and we are there, we've ticked it off. Another game done. Come on. So if we continue on building this shot list that we've got going on here, another one I thought is I have the Yakuza collection for PS5, and I really enjoyed my time with Yakuza 0. Now, I have never played a Yakuza game ever. It was definitely something that I was not used to, that I was not expecting to enjoy as much as I did. I knew I would like it. I knew it was going to be a game that was kind of right up my street, but I didn't think that this was going to like blow me away the way it did. But my God, did it blow me the way it did. It was absolutely insane how good this game was. So for me, I am really tempted to go from 0 and just jump into Kiwami and just play through it that way. It wasn't a crazy long game because I wasn't deliberately going for 100%. I knew that there was a lot going on in terms of the side stuff, and I did the stuff that I enjoyed, the stuff that I thought was fun enough, but I was too busy enjoying the main story to like really get involved in any of the side stories. And that's maybe a con when it comes to playing something like Kiwami, is if that format continues on, I'm not entirely sure if it does. You know, comment down below, is that the same sort of pathway that you would expect Kiwami to follow from 0? Then maybe the game becomes a little bit bigger, but because you can sort of pick and choose the bits that you care about and the bits you want to play, then maybe it's actually alright. But I thought that the visuals of Zero Remaster was absolutely excellent. The voice acting's really, really good. The story's a bit mad, but it's really engaging. They did a really, really good job when this game initially came out, and the remaster is very, very, very solid. So that makes me think that that's an option, that I could maybe go down that avenue, continue on enjoying playing this game series that I have got some fun out of already, and just keep on experiencing more and more new games that up until this point, very recently, I had zero exposure to. So option number 3 is kind of continuing down this same vein of playing through games that I haven't ever played before, but going on to a different system here. So Fallout 4, I'd already played through that. I absolutely loved the games, right? Absolutely superb. But that is a game, obviously, that I wasn't unfamiliar with. It was something that I knew what was going on, and I was just tidying up some of the pathways that I hadn't finished and all the achievements. Loved my time, right? But I think I feel like I want to continue on this sort of drive of playing stuff I haven't played before. So it brings me to a couple of things that we've got here for PS1 and PS2 that are going to be all wildly different from each other, but games I haven't touched before, and I'm kind of intrigued to play them. So we've got stuff like 50 Cent Bulletproof, right? A game that you could just turn your brain off to. Yeah, there's a story, and it's not that long, but I've never ever touched it before, and I always heard it was a lot of fun. So something like that could be a really, really good choice, knowing that it's a shorter game and I can tick that off as a game completion this year, because we're trying to at least hit double figures for game completions. I don't think I even hit that last year. I think I only had maybe 8 games completed. So we're trying to address that and see if we can improve upon that. So I think that is a good option. You've got another option of the absolute classic that is The Warriors on PS2. We'd spoke about this before as games that probably deserve a remaster. So, you know, if you fancy watching that after this one, there'll be a card on the screen somewhere that you can tap and keep that to one side. I always heard this was excellent. I've always heard that the movie is brilliant, and it is a game where I think I would really, really enjoy, even if it is, you know, getting on a bit now. That PS1, PS2 era is a little bit older than you might think, but it is all an era that we absolutely loved in games. It was the pinnacle of gaming. And I think that as much as that might be maybe like 15, 20 hours or something like that to play through that and really like drink it in and enjoy it, it's a game that I've never ever played before, never even had any exposure to whatsoever, and it could be fun. It could be a lot of fun. Or we could dive into a beloved franchise that I have never played a single minute of, and that is the Metal Gear franchise. When you can say my name, has the memory gone? Are you feeling numb? Go on, call my name. I can play the... So we do obviously have to own the PS1 copy here. The case is maybe not in the best condition, but it's not too bad. We own the PS2 versions of 2 and 3, and we own the Master Collection on PS4, PS5, whatever console that came out for. So we have all these options for playing these games in whatever way we want. Like we could play them in the remastered versions, or play them on OG hardware with a bit of an upscaler. I have those options. I have only ever played one Kojima game before, and it was Death Stranding, which I thought was weird as all hell, but only okay, which is maybe a bit of a surprise. That is maybe a bit of a shock that I thought it was only alright. I'm in no real rush to play the second one, but I don't think that the Metal Gear games are like that in that respect. Like, as much as I suck at stealth, I always have a lot of fun playing games like that, knowing that when it goes wrong, I'm just going to be laughing at myself for the most part and getting some enjoyment out of it that way. So they are really, really tempting to go and play and give a lot of love and time for, because I've always heard they're great, and I don't think they're crazy long. Certainly I could choose the first one and play it on PS or the PS1 version, or I could play it on the remaster. I've kind of got options there, and you know, see if this game series that I have never touched, that I don't have an awful lot of knowledge about, like if that's just the one to just spark a really, really exciting 2026. So another reason why I was thinking about doing all of this stuff is because I'm trying to tick off a few games, knowing that when it comes to buying new games, I can feel a bit better knowing, oh well, I've ticked off 3 or 4 games since like the turn of the year, say, to now, so I can go buy this, because I'm really looking at the new Forza Horizon game, and it being set in Japan. The last one was absolutely terrific. This one looks like it could be even better, but I would feel a little bit bad paying full price for a launch game and knowing that I've got a stack of games at any given time to play. So if I can tick off a few things to play, then I would feel like, right, okay, I can afford myself this purchase and give it a chunk of time, because I know that certainly the last one I played a ton of it and loved it so much that I'd want to give this one a heck of a lot of time as well. Even if it is like what is a fairly simplistic racing game, it just scratches an itch that is just a lot of fun to play. So why not try and see if we can tick off some stuff first? So this mission that I'm on, this mission to start clearing out the backlog, starts with one game. But I am going to try and leave that one game up to you guys at home. So this is my call to you. This is the call from the Nerd Fandemic to you guys at home. You know, look at this list. Are we thinking Final Fantasy 6 or 7? Are we thinking Yakuza Kiwami, Metal Gear Solid, even something random like 50 Cent, Bulletproof, All the Warriors? Which one of these games should be my first victory? Which one of these games should be the first one that I tick off on my quest to tick off this backlog, to whittle down the amount of games that I have in a metaphorical or real physical pile at any given moment? I want you guys at home to drop your votes in the comments below. I'll be keeping a close eye on this. I'm going to tally them up, and then when it comes to the next video, you guys will find out who was the winner and where we're going from here, how we're going to address it, and we're going to have a chat about that. We'll get some gameplay in, we'll get my thoughts into the situation, and we'll all kind of do this together, because ultimately at the end of the day, that is what I want. I want some community involvement on this one to push us all along and basically get me, as a gamer who buys games far too much, doesn't play them enough, and has some weird like gaps in my gaming history, get me involved in more of these series and tick off this backlog. I mean, it's a win-win, right? And I also want to see down in the comments any stories you've got, any of these games that I have spoke about. You know, share your tips, have a chat about them, or even suggest something that I haven't even considered. Because yes, one of these sets of games here could be the next one to play, but we may be looking for something to play after that, and your input will absolutely be valuable in that process. You know, this feels like a bit of a new chapter almost. It's about taking back this hobby and turning it from like a sometimes occasional source of stress into a source of joy and a source of accomplishment again. It's not about the size of the library, but it's about the richness of the experiences within it. I am someone who's loved achievement hunting for the longest time, and I always quite like ticking them off and seeing that score go up, whereas now we're going to see this list of games go down and get closer to zero. I'm genuinely excited and very, very curious to see where this goes. Come and join me. See you guys in the next one.